Today, we are cracking open the official playbook for the folks who guard corporate integrity. It's called the International Professional Practices Framework, or IPPF for short, and it is pretty much the master guide for making sure big companies are running the way they're supposed to. But seriously, think about that for a second. When you've got these massive, sprawling global companies with thousands of people and millions of transactions, who's actually making sure everything is on the up and up? Who's checking to see if the systems are really working? That's the huge question we're digging into today. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to meet these guardians. Then we'll get our hands on their global playbook and see how it's changed over the years. After that, we'll peek inside the rulebook itself before, connecting all the dots to see why this whole thing is so incredibly important. So, who are these guardians? Well, they are the internal auditors, and their job is way more than just catching mistakes. It's about making the entire organization stronger, tougher, and smarter from the inside out. Now, this definition is so important because of one little word: value. Creating it, protecting it, and sustaining it. You see, that single word lifts internal audit way beyond that old stereotype of being the company police. It makes them a strategic partner, helping leadership navigate risks and hit their goals. Now, to really understand just how powerful this playbook is, we've got to figure out exactly where internal audit fits into the whole corporate universe. It gets mixed up with other jobs all the time, but its role is actually totally unique. This table lays it all out pretty clearly. You've got accounting and external auditing, which are mostly focused on past financial numbers for people outside the company. But internal audit, they're looking at the whole picture: risk, governance, controls, and they're looking forward. And notice this: while the others have a few different frameworks, internal audit is united under one single global standard, the IPPF. And that right there is the kicker. This isn't just a playbook, it is the playbook. The IPPF is the single source of truth for the entire profession worldwide. It means the standards are the same whether you're in Tokyo, Toronto, or Berlin. Now, a framework this important didn't just pop into existence. Nope. It's the result of decades of hard work and evolution, constantly adapting to a world that never stops changing. The whole journey starts back in 1941 when the profession really got organized. The first global standards dropped in '78, but the huge leap forward was in 2006 when the IPPF launched and brought everything under one roof. And just recently, in 2024, it got a major upgrade, getting streamlined into the new Global Internal Audit Standards, making it one clear, unified guide. All right, let's actually open this playbook up and see how it's put together. You'll see it's designed to be super practical. So the IPPF is basically split into two big parts. On one side, you have the mandatory guidance. These are the must-do rules. They're non-negotiable. Think of them as the law. On the other side, you've got recommended guidance. These are the how-to suggestions. This is where you get all the practical tips and flexible advice for applying the rules in the real world. And if you zoom in even further on just a single standard, you see just how practical this is. Each one has three parts. First, the requirement. That's the rule you have to follow. Second, considerations for implementation. These are like pro tips on how to meet that rule. And third, examples of evidence, which shows you what done actually looks like. It's the whole package: what to do, how to do it, and how to prove you did it. Okay, let's put this to the test with a real-world scenario. You have an employee who used to work in purchasing. They get moved to internal audit. Just 4 months later, they're told to go audit their old department. So, what do you think? Does that set off any alarm bells? Is that a conflict? Oh yeah, big time. This is a classic violation of objectivity, which is a cornerstone of the whole profession. The guidance is crystal clear. Auditors have to be independent from the areas they review. And there's even a recommended cooling off period of at least a year to make sure their judgment is completely impartial. This is a perfect example of how the rules protect the integrity of the work. Now, that rule on objectivity we just saw, it doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's neatly tucked into a much larger structure. The entire set of standards is organized into 5 key domains that cover everything an internal auditor does. And these 5 domains cover it all. Domain 1 starts with the big why, the whole purpose of internal auditing. Domain 2 is about the who, the ethics and professionalism required of every auditor. 3 and 4 get into the how of running the department, governing and managing it. And finally, domain 5 is the what, the real nuts and bolts of actually doing the audit work. So, we've gone through the history, we've looked at the structure, we've even seen a rule in action. But now let's zoom all the way out. What does this all add up to? Why is having this global playbook so fundamentally important? It all comes back to this one powerful sentence right from the standards themselves. The goal isn't just about finding what's wrong. It's about making the entire organization stronger, more capable, more resilient. It's all about that word again, value. At the end of the day, the IPPF is a machine for building trust. By making sure auditing is consistent and high quality everywhere, it sets a clear bar for what good looks like. That push for integrity and accountability is what gives everyone, from the board of directors to the investors to the employees, the confidence that the organization is built to last. And that leaves us with one final, pretty big question. If we have this incredibly clear, globally accepted playbook for how to do things right, why do we still see massive corporate scandals splashed all over the headlines? Now that is something to think about.